name is Sive and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to do a bit of propagating. I have my little polkadot plant here that, well, not so little, but I have a polkadot plant here that I took a cutting from a couple months ago now. I have it just here and I'm going to repot it back in its mother plant, but I'm also just going to take a few more cuttings and water propagate it again. Just so I can make a fuller, bushier plant, pretty much. I also have my very nice little string of pearls that I want to propagate a little bit more as well, because I have this little tiny pot with I have this little tiny pot with 4 little vines that I'm actually going to be giving to a friend, but I want to make it a little bit fuller for her, so I'm just going to water propagate it as well. Which again, I also have like a little one in here that I only put in about 3 or 4 days ago, and it already has some roots going, so it's kind of working for me. So I'm just going to keep going and keep propagating this way for a string of pearls, and then I'm just going to stick it in to this little pot to make it a little bit fuller for her. So first I'm going to start with my polkadot plant. It's just gotten a little bit leggy and I just kind of want to make it, I just want to trim it down a little bit, make it a little bit bushier, plant a little bit kind of more around, because at the moment it's just kind of in the middle and I want to plant them around it a little bit just to make it kind of full. So I'm just going to start chopping away. I have sterilized scissors just to keep everything hygienic and not to introduce any bacteria into my plant, because the last thing I want to do is kill this, because I do love it. So how I'm going to do this is I'm just going to find a little node just in between these 2 little nodes. I'm just going to snip just in the middle, as you can see, and then I'm just going to rip off or just pull off I'd say the bottom 4 sets of leaves, or even the bottom 3 sets of leaves. So we just have this little nice little bit, and it should root just kind of from this area here. I'm just gonna keep going with that and just chop off a few more. And again, I'm just going to pull off the bottom leaves, because if these leaves get in the water, they'll just kind of rot away, and that is the last thing you want. So once you're finished cutting off what you want to cut off, then you can just go ahead and put this straight into a little container of water and just leave it in a spot that gets bright indirect light. These, in my experience, it did take a while to start rooting, but once it started, it just shot out roots left, right and center. As you can see on this one, so this not only has kind of a good, possibly over 2-inch roots on it, it also has secondary roots on it. So that is a very good sign. So I'm just going to go straight ahead and repot it back with its mother, and then just water it quite heavily so it gets used to going from a wet medium to a dry medium. So I'm just going to go ahead and start repotting that now. So all I'm going to do really is just poke a little hole deep enough where I can fit the roots and a little bit of the stalk into the soil. You can use a chopstick or a stick of some kind if you want, if you don't want to get your fingers dirty, but I don't really mind. So you're just going to make a nice little hole and just kind of plop it in, and then just cover the roots and pack it down. Not too tight, obviously you don't want to pack it down too much, but just pack it down so there's no air bubbles. And you have now propagated a polkadot plant. Super easy, super simple. That's why I love these plants. And then once these have rooted, I'm just going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to pot it with the mother plant so I can create just an even fuller plant. And I'm just going to keep doing the same, and I might propagate it and give some cuttings to my friends and my family maybe if they want some. Who knows? So next up, I want to propagate my string of pearls a little bit. As I was saying before, I just kind of want to make my friend's plant that I'm going to give her just a little bit fuller. So in my experience, string of pearls is so easy to propagate. I have propagated it in soil and in water. I prefer personally water propagating just because I love watching the roots grow. But with the smaller plant that I have for my friend, I actually just soil propagated all this and it's been doing so well. It has grown a lot more. All of these little vines were only about up to here and now it's just kind of grown a nice chunk. But I just want to make this a little fuller for her, so I'm going to water propagate some of this for her and then just pop it into the soil with the rest of the plant. Now, as I said, this is super easy. I did have a bit of an issue with overwatering this plant when I first got it. So just at the top is starting to go a little bit bald, but it's coming in again. But there are a few of these roots that have, or a few of these like stalks that have gone kind of black from being rotted away. I'm not sure if you can see that, but here it's green and here it's a bit black. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut it just right where the black and the green meet, but slightly more on the greener side, just so I'm not getting any of that dead stalk into the water pretty much. So just chop away. As you can see, there is a few little aerial roots on this anyway, and actually the regular little root that was stuck into the soil a little bit. So I'm just going to, again with the polkadot plant, I'm just going to pick off a few of these. Now, because of the fact that that stalk was a little bit dead, these little leaves are actually a little bit kind of thirsty, like they're a bit squishy. They're not doing the best. So I'm just going to water propagate it, and by tomorrow morning or even tonight, they'll be plumped up and more looking like the rest of the plant is. So I like to actually leave quite a good amount of stalk just so I know that it's going to root well out of a lot of these little nodes. And yeah, so that's about how much I leave. And I'm just going to stick this straight into my little container of water. So in she goes. And I'm just going to keep doing that until I have a nice little amount of plant. So once you have the amount that you want into your little container of your choosing, then you can just go ahead and again leave this in bright and direct light. Change the water every week or so. I put a little bit of plant food in it after, I'd say maybe about 2 weeks of it being in water. So after 2 water changes, I'll put a bit of plant food into it, like the tiniest amount you can possibly put in it, like dilute it so much, just to give it a little extra boost, just to help those roots kind of grow a little bit more. But yeah, just leave it in bright indirect light, leave it alone. Don't kind of annoy it too much. It'll do its own thing. It knows what it's doing. And just enjoy watching all the roots grow. And then once they have gotten to a size that you want, whether, like, you do kind of want them to be at least 2 inches long, but once they've gotten to that size or longer, and once they have also preferably developed secondary roots, you can just stick it back with the plant that you want to put it in, or stick it in a whole new pot. I'm going to be putting it in the pot that is for my friend, as I said, and that's it. That's all you have to do. Super simple to propagate. I love propagating. I need to kind of get a better propagation station because right now it's just my windowsill and a bunch of these little glass bottles that I've repurposed that used to have kombucha in it. You can use wine bottles, you can use jars like tomato pasta sauce jars. That's what I've been using for a lot of my other ones. But yeah, it's super simple, and you literally just change the water once a week. It's great, and it's really nice to watch the roots grow. But yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you again. Bye.